We are live.
Live. Live and business.
Yep, recording now. Just check the mics. We'll sit down.
That was banging into it.
Alright, that's what video editing is for.
Mm-hmm. You got the mountain in the background? Somewhat.
Somewhat, yeah.
It's a nice backdrop.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's a fucking gorgeous. Better than the foam that I had on my other ones.
You had foam?
Yeah, like the
just for the-
soundproofing foam, you know?
Yeah. You think it's going to be an issue with not having nothing in behind it?
No, it shouldn't, because the mics are pretty good, so
Okay.
it should be alright.
And I should just swing this in, you think?
Yeah, try to keep it as close to your mouth as possible without giving it a kiss. That's what I tell people. As long as yours works.
Mic check. Mic check.
Yep. All right. Well, that work? Maybe.
Hello?
Good. All right. Well, welcome to the Daily Addict podcast. This is episode 3. I'm here with Matt Daniell.
Daniel, yep.
Danielle.
Mm-hmm.
He generously reached out when I said virtually, and he said, "Oh man, no, I got a better spot." And we're here at his property, beautiful behind us. Yeah, Matt. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Let us know where you're at, what you're doing, and who you are. What are you about?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. My name is Matt. I am an alcoholic. I don't like to say that I'm an addict, but I like to say that I'm an addict too, since this is the Daily Addict. I never thought I was, an alcoholic or addict, but 7 years ago, I realized that I was the problem and that the drinking was the solution for me. And so, coming up in January 11th, I'll have 7 years sober from alcohol.
Damn.
And that's all thankful to God because on the path that I was on was basically running reckless, and it was on a destruction course, to prison or to death or an institution. So, yeah, I mean, a little bit about my story.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
So what do you I'm gonna
yeah.
put a question back onto you that you just asked me right before we went live here. So what was the defining moment of like you woke up and you were like, "Hey, I'm done, man. I'm out of here. I don't want to be a part of this anymore." So what was that defining moment for you?
Yeah, it was probably the moment I was facing prison. I had a second DUI back in 2017. I got in an accident actually like 400 feet from my driveway,
Oh wow.
totaled a rental car, and uh, tried to get out of it, saying that I wasn't the driver. But I had to own up for that and taking the accountability for that. But that wasn't enough. I had to go back and do some more experimenting and um, went out. I stopped drinking for a little bit after that, but I started drinking again. Pretty soon after that because I hadn't no solution to my problems. I just wanted to do it on my own.
Yeah.
And I was facing another charge because I was drinking another time and I got in a road rage incident. And the person I had an incident with said that I brandished my firearm.
Oh shit.
Um, Really, they seen it on my seat. They were in a lifted truck, and I was like a little Ford Ranger.
Okay.
And I pulled up alongside him. Just what the heck?
Right.
And
Doing what we do when we're drunk.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we just so happened to be going to Boring, and I was going to Gresham from there, and we were going the same direction. So he seen my pistol on the seat, and then seen I was following him. He thought, and so he
Yeah.
called the police, and I got pulled over at gunpoint from Gresham police, and they were basically giving me unlawful use of a weapon, firearm, which is, if you're charged with it, you can get 5 years in prison.
Damn. So you had quite the journey before you got clean and sober.
Yeah,
It sounds like.
many times, drinking and getting in trouble. It wasn't every time that I drank I got in trouble, but every time I got in trouble, I was drinking.
Yeah.
And that realization that, like, that was the big problem in my life, it was the drinking, and, yeah, it was either get sober. I had an option to do a suspended sentence for a year,
Okay.
and when I was gonna take a plea, or initially, I was gonna take it to trial,
Yeah.
and, this is after I'd already pled guilty to the DUI, and I was gonna take it to trial, and they offered me a suspended sentence for a year, or, and if I got the year, and did nothing wrong, I would have it dropped down to a misdemeanor. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
said, "You know what? Like, that's better than taking the trial and losing." It was in Multnomah
Yeah,
County,
yeah. No,
and
I had, I kinda had a similar situation. Um, not I wasn't well, I take that back. I was actually charged with 2 felonies when I walked through the door in Multnomah County. Um, but they didn't end up charging me with a grand jury didn't indict me on the felonies, so it got dropped down to a misdemeanor, and I told my lawyer, I said, "Look, can we try to fight this?" And then I saw the body cam footage, and I was like, "Yeah, no, we shouldn't try to fight this
yeah.
because at the end of the day, man, it's for me, it really like, I say now, like, going to jail was the best thing that ever happened to me because in
Mhm,
reality, it is. It really opened my eyes, even though when I left jail, I walked down the street to the mini mart and bought 2 White Claws.
mhm,
That's why my clean date isn't the date I got arrested, it's 4 days later, because
mhm.
um, I drank the day I got out after the
Right.
judge looked at me and said, "You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this." And,
Mhm.
I basically threw up the middle finger and was like, "No, I'm doing this because I just got out of jail, dude. What's a better excuse, right?
Right,
Like, I
right.
just got out of jail, I don't have anything to go home to, like, what's a better excuse?" And,
Mhm.
so yeah, I get it, not going to trial, just taking that plea deal, especially a suspended sentence. I got
Yeah.
14 months probation on mine,
Okay.
and, it wasn't bad. I mean, honestly, it wasn't bad. It kept me on the straight and narrow.
Best thing that happened to you, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was, it was annoying to say the least to having to check in all the time and having to talk to him all the time, getting permission to cross the bridge into Washington when my daughter lives up there, so I was doing it all the time kind of
Mhm.
situation. Um, and I finally I finally made the realization that, this is something when I was in rehab. And yeah, so it's just crazy. So speaking of rehab, so you never went to rehab, you never
I had to do an outpatient,
okay.
program. I don't remember exactly what it was called. I had to do one when I got my first DUI, but I
Yeah.
was 20 years old when I got my first one, so, I was like, "Oh, I'm just young and dumb," you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
I knew when my UAs were, so I would just drink, when I got when I got out of the treatment class, I would just go and drink,
Yeah.
like it was nothing. And then, through my 20s, I just continued making excuses for
Yeah.
my behavior. I many fights. I mean, I used to just get in fights all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what's amazing is since I stopped drinking, I haven't been in a fight since. You know what I
Dude,
mean? And I used to love putting people in their place and just
yeah,
got a thrill out of, like, teaching people respect. But, like, no, I wasn't doing anything except
being
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 a worse,
reckless.
yeah, being
Yeah.
a worse, because we're knuckleheads. When we got our ass beat, we just want to go take it out on somebody
Yeah,
else or
keep going
something.
until
Yeah,
you
yeah,
find somebody who's not gonna whoop your ass kinda
yeah, yeah.
situation.
So
It's crazy, they say in the AA room, are you familiar you've
yeah,
been to AA and
yeah,
you
yeah.
do
I've been a
AA.
sponsor.
And so they say in the AA rooms, you look for the similarities in stories, not the differences.
Hmm.
And listening to you talk, keep in mind, guys, we met at a baby shower once, and
Hmm.
we said he was busier than a one-legged man in an ass kicking contest. So we probably said, like, maybe 10 words to each other.
Right.
And then he reached back out to me, actually when I started the podcast, and then again when I kind of went on a hiatus and then came back to it, announcing virtually. So we don't
Hmm.
know each other very well at all, especially not into the detail that we're about to get into.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, you're listening to the similarities and like the similarities to that story. I used to love getting in fights when I'm drunk.
Right.
Love it. That's what I got arrested for, actually. Um, and so, but it's because we're we're in a different state of mind.
Mhm.
My favorite move in a bar is when somebody's looking at you sideways or getting mouthy with you. It's like blow them a kiss. It's like, what is that going to do? Initiate a fight. You know what I
Right.
mean? If somebody blew you a kiss in the middle of a bar, you would you would
Depends on
fight
the
them.
bar you're at, I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly. And so, but that's the kind of shit that I
Hopefully
did.
that's the reaction, it's not the other one that comes
Yeah,
over and tries to start talking to you.
yeah, right. So it comes over and starts flaunting it. Yeah. Here, I'm
Yeah.
gonna fix yours real quick.
Alright. I don't
Well,
know what I can do.
no, it's spinning in the actual coupler.
Oh, is it? Okay, that's
That work?
better. Yeah, I just
Cool.
want make sure you can hear it.
Yeah, no, yeah, we're green, so
So
we're good to
so
go.
you blow you're blowing 'em a kiss.
Yeah, so my my go-to move was to blow them a kiss. Like I would look at them whether they're right in front of my face or if they're 10, 15 feet away, was blow them a kiss, right? And all that did was again just initiate
Yeah,
that, oh,
antagonize
I'm
them.
gonna fight you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so listening to you say that basically the same thing is like when I was drinking, and then again the similarity of since I haven't been drinking, guess what? I haven't been in a fight since.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me that that chemical has that power over people. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Mhm.
My family, my friends all used to call me Brando when I fought or when I got drunk is because I turned into an aggressive
Mhm.
asshole, for
Right,
lack of a
right,
better
right.
term. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's just funny. It's crazy that that statement stands true to people that again, we just started talking,
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes ago.
I
So,
mean, like you were saying before we got on here, it's like it only takes two people to have even a little bit of similarities, and
yeah.
it's maybe the war stories that often bring people together because it remember like what it was like.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like I just never took accountability. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Never took accountability for any of the stuff that I was getting into, and I was always blaming everybody, and I would just one problem would roll into another problem, which I'd drink over, and then it'd roll into another problem, which then I'd
Yeah.
drink over. So
Yeah.
emotionally, like I got sober when I was 27, 28. I never matured from the guy I was when I was 18, 19.
Yeah.
That image, like my nickname was Matt Dizzle.
Okay.
And like that was like the persona, my like image of like this kind of gangster,
Yeah. Yeah.
hard tough kid or whatever. So like if people looked at me the wrong way, I had to like keep up my
Keep up your
yeah,
persona,
my
right?
persona, my reputation, I'm not a punk, I'm not a bitch,
Yeah.
and that same kid just kept going all the way until I, finally got sober, and then I had to, like you said, I had to take a look in the mirror and be like, look, like I don't like the kid I am. I don't like the man I'm turning into be.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
uh, honestly, that crash I got into right here was the best thing that ever happened to me because I don't have to drink anymore, and I don't have to blame other people for my problems. Like
Yeah.
it's all on me. And what it actually led to is a relationship with God.
Yeah.
So that's the best part about getting sober for me personally is that
Gave me goosebumps, bro.
yeah, yeah,
I
no,
think
I love
about it.
it. I love
I
that.
think about it because
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's true, man. I mean,
We were our own God. We were trying to play our own God.
yeah.
For me, I was into manifesting. I was, you know, into more spirituality, hippie stuff, and I was always trying to manifest rather than just like take my hands off the wheel. And
Just let go and let God. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
ultimately it ran it into a brick wall because it was like it was self will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we
And
can't and we can't survive on our own self-will. Not
mm-mm,
any you know what I mean? Not anymore.
mhm,
Especially not back then. It almost landed us, like you said, jails, institution, or death.
mhm,
And there was multiple times throughout my addiction that I knew that in my heart, I knew I couldn't keep going the way I was going, but my brain was telling me otherwise, right? Like
yeah.
telling me, "Oh, it's okay. Oh, you can have one. Oh, you can do
Mhm,
this," right? And that's the disease of addiction
mhm,
in your brain telling you those things. This counselor told me when I was one of my trips into rehab, she said that your addiction's doing push-ups in the corner while you're getting sober.
mhm.
And it's like you don't stop where you don't start over, you start where you left off.
Right,
And I know if I go back out where I left off, there was no chance. There's no chance that I may not make it back this next
right,
time.
right.
And God or higher power, whatever you believe in,
Mhm,
you just have to find that something
right,
that you reach to, right?
right.
Yours is God, mine is God and love. I reach to love and love for other people, but most importantly, love for myself because that
Mhm,
was a big reason I drank is I didn't like myself.
mhm.
And but the the ironic part of that is I didn't like myself who I was when I was drinking,
Mhm.
and so
Just a
it's
vicious cycle.
yeah, it's a vicious cycle of like, oh, you don't love yourself, but you're gonna keep doing the thing that you want to love. It's the
Mhm.
definition of insanity, right?
Right,
You're
right,
doing the
right,
same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, and that's
right.
exactly what I did. I mean,
Mhm.
I was clinically insane when I was drinking
For
because it
sure,
wouldn't.
for sure.
I couldn't stop. You know,
Right,
it's
right. We
crazy.
never knew where we'd end up. It'd probably be at A crop or
Yeah, somewhere.
somewhere,
Yeah,
somewhere
yeah, definitely.
with some random people.
Yeah, 7 years ago, and for me, 3 years ago. But if we would have met 7 years ago, I bet you it wouldn't be sitting here doing a Daily Addict podcast,
No, we'd
talking
be
about how we're sober and
we'd be out there running amok.
doing something
Yeah,
stupid.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
we'd cross paths, and honestly, we'd probably
Maybe
be
we
the
would have
ones.
fought.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'd
Yeah, yeah.
probably be the ones that
You
would
would have
fight.
blew a kiss at me. I'd have
Yeah.
been on.
See, exactly. That's what I knew is.
Yeah.
But no, it's crazy, man. And so God, so you found God when you got sober.
I mean, it took a while. I
Yeah,
was stubborn. I actually found AA off of Facebook. I mean, I heard of the rooms because my uncle, when he got out of prison, he got into Oxford houses and was in that community and stuff like that. He was pretty into the Oxford housing
yeah,
community and stuff. So I knew about recovery. I just, I didn't know what it looked like, and so I reached out, and a guy that I met at a dispensary, he was a bud tender. He reached out and told me about this men's meeting at the 930 plus over on 70th and Gleason,
oh yeah.
and
What is that called?
it's the 12 by
Freedom
12.
in the Flats.
No, it's 12 by 12.
12 by 12, but the
Yeah,
meeting
yeah.
that I went to was called
Okay,
Freedom in the Flats.
okay, yep.
Yeah.
And it was a men's meeting, and they met every Friday at 5:30. I just went to that one meeting and just kept going every week because I was on the bus,
Yeah.
and it worked out with my schedule and whatnot. And it got to a point where I could tell the old guys that were there for 40 years or something. I could tell their story because they'd say the same story. I'm
Yeah.
like, "What now, Dick? You had to go up into the woods and hug a tree to find God and
Yeah.
blah blah blah." But man, I miss those stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they what saved me. I just had to put my ass in that chair and be open to hear what some of the guys were having to say. And my first sponsor, he's a Rastafarian, like a white Rastafarian,
Yeah, yeah.
and I had my medical marijuana card, so I wasn't really super accepted in the AA program because I still used cannabis, and that was a little bit of a hindrance for me to grow in the community. But I just kept on going to meetings. I kept on listening. I kept on, and then, I actually found a higher power. I remember, reading the third step and, asking God to guide me pretty much,
Yeah.
and to take over. And that moment of just like, wow, so much weight off my shoulders. I don't have to do it alone anymore.
Right.
You know what I
Never.
mean? It's not on me at all. Like
Yeah.
I can let go. And, man, it's just crazy to look back because I never once thought that I would be a believer at all,
Yeah.
and it changed my life.
So let me ask you this, and I ask you this not out of judgment or
Mhm.
malice or anything like that, but have you in the past 7 years you've been sober, have you ran into situations where you felt yourself getting further away from your higher power?
Yeah, for sure. As of late, with my business, all the promises started coming true for me in my life,
Yeah.
and started a business 2 years ago. Started a family in the last year.
Yeah.
Then we went and bought a fourplex, and we've been renovating that. And I'm trying to just claw and grind again. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And I feel like even though I do go to church and I pray and all that, I still feel like I'm starting to kind of try to take back control because it's like I'm trying to provide for my family all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like I'm always in this grind mode.
Yeah.
So I need the AA program. I haven't really been going to meetings. I haven't been doing nothing like this. Obviously, this is my first time, and so I need to be able to give back to find more fulfillment. That's where I find,
Yeah.
my purpose and my walk nowadays is not to just grind for my family. That's the biggest part, but it is to give back to people, be a sponsor, be a mentor,
Right.
and all that stuff because that's where I do find God uses me as a conduit and
Yeah.
as a vessel to help the younger crowd. If I would add somebody like me around when I was 19 or 20, instead of handing me a 100 fizz pills to go sell at the rave, he could
Right,
give me a book and teach me how to sell real estate or to buy real estate or
right,
build a business or whatever, you know?
whatever.
Yeah,
And
so
it you said something right there that really rang true to me, and a big part, like we had talked to, I'm a head wrestling coach, um, and you said it perfect then of like, it's more about giving back to the youth and giving back to the younger
mhm,
community, right? And, a part of my story is I started drinking when I was in high school. I was a binge drinker, so everybody knew when I started drinking, I was not stopping until I was either blacked out, passed out on the couch,
mhm,
or the party just kept going.
mhm,
Um, and so I think about that all the time too. Is like if I had somebody in my role as a mentor, not an authoritative figure
mhm.
to guide me through the situation that I'm facing, right?
Right, right.
And you asked me, and I really didn't know what the like aha moment was to start this. But reality is, if I could reach one person that, can find a similarity in one of our stories, or even not even similarities, but just start the question, right?
Mhm.
Whether they're in high school, whether they're 15, 16, whether they're 25, whether they're 75, it doesn't matter.
Right,
Um, and that's why I started this thing, man. I felt the need in my own life to have, because we get busy, right?
right.
Before I left construction, I was an operations manager for 5 surf pros around Portland.
Wow.
And so I stepped away from that, and while I was in there, I felt this need, this urge. I was always on the road, I was always driving, I didn't have time to stop and go to an hour meeting.
Mhm.
Um, and so I felt this need to have somewhere where I can tune in, or I can listen to, and just talk, and just listen to people with similar stories of ours, or at least a general understanding of what we've gone through, and what we deal with on a daily basis.
Right.
And that's what the point of this is to have that resource, right?
Yeah.
You can turn it on YouTube. I don't induce driving and watching YouTube, but it definitely will be an audio. Um, and so being able to listen and, you know, just kind of get that fulfillment on the go kind of
Right, right,
situation,
right.
right?
No, it's beautiful, man.
Um, and so yeah, where I was going with it is like you talk about, you want to give back to the younger community, and be that role model, be that guiding light. And by doing stuff like this, it starts, that's where it starts, and it
Right.
starts in the AA rooms. And I want to kind of, I don't try to preach, I don't try to, teach or talk about it, right? You have more sobriety than I do, but I want to challenge you not to stress about missing meetings, right? Just get
Mhm.
back in the rooms when you can. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like,
Right, right.
cuz I get it. We're living in the same area, right? I got the
Mhm.
coach, I got the podcast, I'm going to school, I'm doing all these things, right? Got a brand new baby.
Right.
Um
Plate's full.
yeah, it gets hard, man, but
Mhm.
one thing that I do really I repeat on a, if not daily basis, every other day, is like the first thing you lose to your recovery is the number one thing. And you lose your recovery, and then it's the second thing
Right.
that you lose that's the
Mhm.
most important to you in your life.
Yep.
And I really try to just do that, whether it's just pick up the book and read a story in the back, or read a,
Mhm.
a chapter or whatever. I reread. I highlighted it in my big book. I reread that we're defenseless against the first drink, right?
Right.
So it kind of helps me guides me
Is
into.
that the story where he drinks the milk and
Yeah,
the
yeah. No, it's a good one, man. And but yeah, I just, like I said, I don't preach on this. I don't try to, but
Yeah.
I just don't want you to beat yourself up too much about missing meetings, because it
Yep.
is it is a lot, and it's a lot to ask, but it is important, like you said.
Yeah, I was actually supposed to be going to a second round through the steps with my sponsor, and we just haven't really made it to the first meeting
Yeah,
to meet. And it's great because we're both busy with good things in life, blessings from the program,
right,
from working the steps. But I have to show just as much effort for my recovery as he does.
right,
He has to meet me like I'm 2/3 and he's a third, instead of
right.
him trying to reach out to me. So but I need to go through the steps again. They say it's like peeling back a layer of onion. There's still more stuff that like I didn't really address the first
I've been
time.
thinking the same damn thing
Mhm.
for the last 6, 8 months
Mhm.
of, like, that you get that irritability feeling, you get that anxious, that
Yep.
anxiety of,
Yep.
like, something's off, but I can't quite figure out what it is, and, yeah, so I've
Yep.
been saying the same damn thing for the last, like I said, 6, 8
And
months.
it takes more than just the program for me personally, and, like, it does take a it takes a like, just like a tribe to raise a child, like, we're just big kids, right?
Yeah,
We need, mentorship. We need other men like each other, like iron
yeah,
sharpens iron. We need older mentors that are, like, doing better than we are,
yeah.
I wanna be the average of the 5 people I hang out with. I don't wanna be the one that's doing the best because,
That's a Gary V quote.
yeah, I wanna be the one that's in the middle, so I have somebody else that's, like, doing better than me. I wanna
Yeah,
be like him,
yeah,
and, working out, I need to work out, I need to do stuff like this. I just need to more activities with other men, doing stuff fun.
yeah,
It's just all been work,
yeah.
grind, and,
Which
yeah,
I commend you for, 'cause
yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it's like to own a business. I've thought about it a couple
Well,
times.
you do, you got the Daily Addict,
I
A
do actually,
LLC.
I am a small business
There
owner.
you
I
go.
do own the Daily Addict name,
Yeah,
and I do this, so
yeah.
but as far as, like, in the construction field, right,
Yeah,
I know what it takes, right? I've written the
yeah.
business plans.
Full-time
I've
job.
saw I've ran like I said, I was running Servpros,
Yeah,
so, um,
big restoration.
yeah, and that was a multi-million-dollar company,
Yeah,
um, and so I know what it takes, and so I commend you 'cause I not that I couldn't do it, I chose not to do it anymore,
right.
because it is so much.
It's stressful.
Yeah, and
It's
there's a lot of
super
stress on
stressful.
it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to let you know that I do commend you a lot
Appreciate
for
it, brother.
that
Yeah, I
because
appreciate it.
it is a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it was a dream to start it, and it's all thankful to my family. My family, they taught me how to do everything I know how to do. So I feel like it was a continuing my family legacy. They
yeah,
got into real estate and like did investment properties. I had an excavator, like my grandpa had an excavator, and I had a dually truck,
yeah,
that I worked for. I fixed them, I got them running, and so everything just kind of led to that point when I was actually growing weed
okay,
from 2019 to 2022 or 2023,
okay,
and so I was in another business that was just failing.
right,
It was good when it was good, but then it just started not being good, and I learned a lot about running a business and keeping it profitable, but it
yeah,
wasn't sustainable, and I knew that. And
yeah,
I had the experience doing construction, I had the experience doing excavation, and I just went for it. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
got some really good opportunities, and my first year was great, and I had an employee right away.
Oh, nice.
So, that's a lot in itself, just
Yeah,
having somebody to depend on you, like payroll all the time, workman's comp.
yeah,
Like, I grew too fast, and now I'm kinda tapering off a little bit and kinda diversify where exactly I'm going with my business and whatnot. Like I said, we got that fourplex.
yeah.
And so I'm trying to get into a more of a smart way of making money instead of just a grind, because just because I own my own company and can kind of make my own hours, it's still like a job.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know
and
what I mean?
I would argue, I would venture to argue that, because I know this firsthand, right? Is like as a business owner, you're working 24 hours a day.
Hmm.
Your phone's always on. You're always worried about the next thing. You're
Right.
always worried about what's coming next.
Got to get the next job lined
Yeah,
up, and you're
yeah,
still trying to finish this one
yeah,
and
and
bids and
especially when you're the one in the position of doing the actual work,
right.
right? Like
Hmm.
I came from a project management standpoint, so I managed a lot of people, subcontractors, that sort of thing. And when I was going out to start my own business, that's kind of the role that I wanted to get. But then I started thinking about it. It's like, well, I still gotta be the one to go out there every day. I still gotta be the one to be visiting the job sites, yeah, I don't have to work on the job, but it's all the back end stuff too
Yeah.
that people overlook a lot of times.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh,
That's where the
yeah,
business fails. Like, you can
yeah,
be great at doing the work, but if you're not great with doing your books, you're not great at staying up on invoices and
yeah,
marketing yourself, and I mean videography, like just like
yeah,
good pictures and stuff like that. Like that's like almost more important than being good at the work.
yeah,
So
yeah." It's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? You know what I mean? Like, is it the good
neither.
work or is it the
Neither.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, back on track as far
Yeah.
as sobriety goes, and so,
Yes, sir.
I figured, you talked about, like, getting okay, I'm gonna revert a little bit. I'll edit that little snippet out. But,
Alright.
um, no, I wanna talk about, because because I've never had somebody that is in recovery and still uses cannabis, right?
Mhm.
And you talked about a little bit of the struggle as far as AA goes,
Right.
being accepted in the community. Well, with it being legalized, I understand alcohol is legal and stuff like that, but
Mhm.
with it being legalized and it does have a lot of health properties, right? Do
Mhm.
you ever worry that? Because I worry. Um, I don't use cannabis. I'm uh, com- I say completely sober, but I am sober off of
Mhm.
cannabis.
Mhm.
Because the only experience that I had is when I smoked. That just made me want to drink more.
Mhm.
And do you ever have that worry, or did you
No,
ever
I
have that
I
worry?
really never never culminated the two, like, oh, one has to have the other. Like for me personally, it was never like that. I used cannabis when I was young, like 12, 13. I grew up in the medical marijuana program or whatnot, and
Okay.
my family grew and whatnot. So it was kind of normalized a little bit. And I didn't really become an alcoholic until like later on in high school.
Okay.
I might have used cannabis addictively from day one. I'm not gonna say I haven't or had.
Right.
Um, but as far as it like leading towards one thing or the other, I never had that like problem for me. But I mean, I was during my first year of sobriety back in 2019, I was using cannabis.
Okay.
You know, and I seen a lot of people in my treatment program that couldn't use cannabis because they were court ordered to not. They still drank
Right. Yeah.
because they just didn't have any outlet. I'm not saying I used it as an outlet; it was medically, but
Right.
I feel like it. No, I'm not gonna say it helped me stay sober from alcohol, but it definitely had a way of keeping me like a little bit where I wasn't super just stressed out about getting sober from alcohol. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If I was to stop smoking weed and stop drinking at the same time, I might have kept drinking
Yeah.
because it would have been easier in the system.
Right.
Um, but there's times where I question like if I should quit smoking for a while just to give myself a shot, and I think it was 45 days was probably the
Hey,
longest.
45 days is
Yeah.
45
I
days.
was on a prevailing wage job back in 2020, and I was like, "Oh, just in case I get a UA."
Yeah.
Never got a UA. I went 45 days. It was still in my system, and I was just like, "You know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna go
Yeah.
back to smoking." But, whatever works for you, work it. There's plenty of people out there that use antidepressants and medicine that's prescribed from their doctor to with their mental illnesses or whatnot and are in the program, and I'm not judging them on what they do,
No, and I'm glad you brought that up because it doesn't. I am a firm believer that your recovery is your recovery,
right.
whatever that looks like,
Mhm.
right? And I too am one that because of my mental health diagnoses and stuff, I am medicated on certain things that if you
Alter your
yeah if you were to take it non-prescribed, right, you wouldn't be in recovery, right?
Mhm.
But I'm very strict about how I take it, who holds me accountable, right?
Right,
Still to
right,
this
right.
day, because there is that thought, that worry of like, oh, am I going to take this abusively, or but it doesn't come from like I'm questioning my recovery. It
Mhm.
comes from the years of me doing things like
Yeah.
that
Using
it's
it
the trauma. Yeah,
addictively.
it's the
Yeah, yeah.
trauma. I would venture to say it's kind of the trauma behind using it addictively,
Right,
right?
right, right.
um but yeah, I'm a firm believer in your recovery is your recovery, your journey. It
Mhm.
looks different for everybody, right?
Right.
And cannabis is one of those like question marks,
Mm,
kind of gray area in the
yeah.
recovery field.
Especially in the Portland area,
Yeah,
and there's so much like judgment. The older crowd, there's a lot of judging about it. Oh, you're not really sober and blah blah blah. But they're whatever, they're doing their thing and whatever it is.
yeah, yeah.
We're addicts no matter what. If it's too
Well,
much
and especially
pornography or if it's
well, and especially since you have it
food or
medically,
whatever.
right?
I think we're all addicts in one way or another. And
Yeah,
the most important fact is that like you take accountability for that
right.
and not to live in that like, oh, I'm just like a problem or something, but like recognizing that like we all have our downfalls
Yeah,
and temptation and then sin and lust and
yeah,
all that we fall short like in so many areas in our life, and that's where the devil, what I mean, that's what kept us in our addiction, that's what kept
yeah,
us in our alcoholism, is because we lived in that shame and that remorse and that guilt.
Yeah.
and like taking accountability is great for it, and like owning up for it, but don't be a victim to let it keep it perpetuated, because that's
Right.
where the devil lies. He lies in the details, saying, "Hey, you didn't do it perfectly, or
Right.
you didn't do it like they did it."
Right.
Oh, you're not sober because they said that you're not sober, or whatever. Like, and that's how people will keep in their trauma forever.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and you know, with medical marijuana and with medicine and with
Mhm.
mental health and stuff, I can say this vulnerably of like I stopped taking my meds, right?
Mhm.
I was off my meds for a long time because I
Worried about the judging.
worried about the
Mhm.
recovery, worried about the judging, worried
How did
about
that turn
all
out
that
for you?
stuff. Well, about 3.5, 4 months ago, um, right as I left my other job,
Mhm.
I was stressed out. I was anxious because I have a list of diagnoses to be fully transparent. I have generalized anxiety disorder, major depressive disorder,
Mhm.
bipolar, ADHD, and PTSD. Um, and so there's a laundry list of things that
Mhm.
could go wrong in my brain, right?
Right.
And I talked a long time with my psychiatrist. Our first appointment was over 2 hours, um, because I kind of explained to her, this is why I stopped taking them, and it wasn't all the reason, but it was a big reason. And she basically laid it out like this. She's like, our brains have chemicals in them, right?
Mhm.
And one, you take chemicals to increase those chemicals and cause you to feel that euphoric, that high, um,
Dopamine
yeah, that
release.
dopamine release of
Mhm.
extensional dopamine release, right? Or two, in your case scenario, I'm back to a normal human being
Mhm.
on my medication,
Right.
right? And she's like, so yeah, I see your worry, but you also have to look at it in the fact that you have an imperfect balance in your system
Mhm.
and you need that to kind of balance yourself out. And that's where, a lot of people talk about medical marijuana in the mental health is
Mhm.
because it helps a lot of people, anxiety disorder, stuff like that. It
Mhm.
helps. And so that's why I'm a very much like this is, it's your recovery.
Right.
And as long as you're again not taking it to the point of like getting blacked out or getting super, wasted, super high,
Mhm.
whatever, but you're taking it in what is prescribed to you and for what is prescribed to
Mhm.
you. Not, hey, I'm gonna go to a party on Friday. I'm just gonna get blitzed because I want to,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's
Right.
it's medically, there's things that, like you said, we're imperfect. We're not a perfect person. We're not a perfect specimen, no matter
Right.
how much we try to think we are. And so when my psychiatrist told me that, I felt a lot more comfortable and
Yeah.
at ease in my recovery of like, no, I still am living in a life of recovery, right? I
Right.
live by the principles. I don't take abusively. I take it as prescribed. I have accountability people around me, accountability buddies, if you will,
Mhm.
around me, holding me accountable just in case, something happens and,
Yeah. They start seeing the signs,
yeah,
and
exactly. And
mhm.
so it's a very interesting kind of
It
concept.
looks different for everybody. You know what I mean?
Well, and
And
then you talk about MAT, right? MAT recovery,
mhm.
medical medic
I don't know what
medicine
that is.
assisted medi no, 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 medically assisted treatment or
Yeah.
medicine assisted treatment, right? Suboxone or
Oh,
Vivitrol
that's
or
a really gray area.
yeah. So you talk about
Yeah. Yeah.
they have the similar issue with
Right.
people in the old timers in in the
Yeah.
recovery community.
And as long as they have I mean, you look at the people that have been on methadone for 40 years
Right,
or something, and it's
right,
like there's no solution there. That was just one substance for another. But are they dying? I don't know. Maybe they're killing themselves slowly.
right.
Do they have a goal to get off it at some point? Yeah. I mean, that's a tough topic to talk about. A lot of
Yeah,
people don't want to even talk about that kind of stuff, because I mean, I see people in the recovery rooms that look like they're just super out of it.
yeah, and I mean,
And then you see people that are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed like us, and you're
yeah,
on your medicine, and I'm on my medicine, and we're talking about recovery, and you know what I mean? And
yeah, and I think there's, in the medically assisted treatment or medicine assisted treatment, I think medicated assisted treatment. That's what
Mhm.
it actually stands for. Sorry, that was driving me nuts.
Hmm.
Um, I think it is an interesting topic to talk about, right? And
Yeah.
like I just went through CRM training,
What's that?
and it's a certified recovery mentor.
Mhm.
And they talked about MAT program and stuff like that. And I personally, right, it didn't work for me. I was on a bunch of different meds to try to help me stop drinking,
Mhm.
naloxone, Vivitrol, Antabuse, so the one that
Ooh.
makes you sick
You
when you
still
drink.
drank?
I still drank. It didn't work for me, right? But
Hmm.
I see it that if it did work for me, I see where
Yeah.
the benefit would help because it's also risk reduction,
Right,
right?
right,
It's
right.
also getting somebody that's using fentanyl or
Yeah.
heroin or whatever your drug of choice,
Right.
alcohol. I would be
Right.
venture to say alcohol too.
Yeah.
Benzos, whatever your drug of choice was, it's helping them get off of that
Right, right,
to
right.
save their to end it at the end of the day, save their life,
I mean,
right?
honestly, it makes me wanna get into another topic, but,
Okay.
the use of psychedelics in
Yeah.
people to get recovered from other substances.
Well, and that's a
And
whole other topic.
that's a whole another topic, and I know people that it helped them quite a bit. And I'm
No,
not
I
saying, like, go out there and trip balls, but, like, it'll humble you.
well, and
It'll
that'll
put you in your right size, I'll tell you that.
and that and that's super interesting too because I have done a lot of research on psychedelic treatment for
Mhm.
mental health
Yeah.
illnesses, right? Depression, anxiety, all
Mhm.
those things. And there's places
There's a lot of good
a lot of good studies about
yeah,
like them
the
actually using it
benefits.
to help with
Yeah.
mental health issues. And so, yeah, it's just amazing to me where I'm curious to see where in the next 10 years addiction studies and addiction goes.
Mhm.
With I feel like nowadays addictions talked about more openly,
Right.
recovery's talked about more openly,
Mhm.
i.e., podcasts and social medias and
Right.
stuff like that. And I'm just curious to see where it's gonna go in the next 10 years, right?
Mhm.
What is it gonna be like in the next 10 years? Are
Yeah.
we gonna have an Alcoholics Anonymous live Facebook page? You know what I mean? That sort
Hey,
of
there
thing.
you go.
Because, AA is their
I mean,
principle
we
is
got
about it.
Zoom 24-hour meetings,
Yeah, exactly. 24-hour meetings or, whatever, and podcasts that talk about openly about their recovery and
Mhm.
celebrities nowadays that are very
Right.
open about their recovery, and
Mhm.
it's just not what it was even
It's
20
not
years ago.
anonymous like it was
Yeah, it's
before.
not but
Yeah.
it's also by their choice,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
for
I'm not
sure.
gonna go on and talk about your journey or your story on my podcast without you sitting next to me,
Right,
right?
right,
Or
right.
ask you questions, regarding your recovery without you sitting right next to
Right,
me,
right.
right? Not openly on an open forum,
Mhm.
right? Unless, obviously, we're here and we're talking about it
Mhm.
openly with each other.
Right.
Um, and so, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
just
who knows? I mean, I just hope that the younger crowd, like, hears stuff that we went through and, like, is open to hear like, they don't have to go through all the bullshit that we went through
yeah,
to finally grow up, you know? And,
yeah, we can
like, what do you think it was? I'm gonna turn it back to me
yeah.
interviewing you. What do you think it was that made you wanna drink, like, alcoholically? Like, I mean, I know what, like, kinda caused me to go down that path,
Mhm.
but, what was it for you? Like, you just like to get obliterated and just black out? Like,
I don't
did you
what's
not
funny?
like the way you felt normally? Like, did you see your family get drunk all the time and so it's just normalized or
No, so, it's there was a statement that you just said, oh, I don't think I ever liked getting blackout drunk, to be honest with
hmm,
you.
just couldn't stop once you started?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's what it is, right?
One
Because
was never
I
enough
don't think
and
I don't think it was the blackout portion that I didn't like, it was the waking up the next morning I didn't like,
yeah,
right? Hair of the dog,
not
sinuses.
knowing what you did.
Yeah, exactly. Um, but no, man, like I said, I was a binge drinker in high school, and I think it was a level of, like, acceptance, right? I was the cool guy in high school, or I thought I was the cool guy in high school by doing
Mhm.
it. And then it just kinda it really just snowballed, right? I turned 18, I had a kid very young. Life kinda hit me all at once. Um, and I justified every action that I ever did when I was younger. I justified it all, right? I worked 70 hours a week, so I deserved to drink.
Right,
I
right, right.
I, had a kid at 19, so I deserve to drink. I take care of my family, so I deserve to drink. I very much justified every action with it.
Mhm.
And then it just I don't know the exact, like, this is when my like maintenance daily every night kind of drinking started. I don't know when that exact time frame is. It just kind of snowballed for me.
Yeah.
Um, every other day turned into, or every 3 days turned into every other day to every day to now I'm drinking in the morning to take care of last night. That sort
Mhm.
of thing. Now I'm drinking at work in my work truck, like
Damn.
stuff like that. I just
Just a
it
progression.
it just started, man.
Yeah.
And it never really slowed down. When I when I look back on it, right, and one of the biggest signs that should have been a red flag to me is I usually wear cowboy boots. I would tuck my alcohol in my boots just so I knew I had something with me for whatever event we were going to,
Yeah.
whatever we were doing.
Right.
Just so I had something with me. I had the alcohol in my boot
Yeah.
in case they didn't have
Some
it.
whiskey.
No, vodka actually.
Yeah.
That was my DOC. Was straight
Straight
bottom of the
clear
oh,
Potters.
yeah. Oh, worse than Potter's, dude. Fleischmann's.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no,
Ugh,
it
makes
was
me
brutal.
makes me cringe.
Yeah, no, and it makes a lot of people cringe when I tell them that, because and that's what I say, I don't
We
think
didn't like the way that tasted. It's not like we
no, and
drank it
that's
because we liked it. We drink because we like the effect, you
yeah,
know?
exactly, and that's
Mhm.
what it is, I never enjoyed taking a shot of gasoline, right?
Right.
But that gasoline made me feel a certain way that I
Right,
did
right.
enjoy doing, so
Right,
I
right.
was gonna do it regardless, right?
Mhm.
So, now same question back to you, what do you think was your, like, kind of was it a snowball like mine? Was it, you know
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think I just grew up with, like, just some problems in my household. Grew up with a broken household. That says a lot to people's future,
Yeah,
having a broken household caused a lot of issues in my life. My mom, she was an addict. She pretty much lost custody of me when I was like 5th grade,
okay,
due to her addiction to meth. She had one boyfriend that was a dope cook. She had another boyfriend that was a thief, a car thief.
okay,
So Gresham police were always watching her house.
yeah,
And then she got raided and lost her housing, so she ended up giving up custody to me. So 12 years old, my mom almost died from getting punched in the back from her meth cook boyfriend, and had internal bleeding, almost died from that, and then kept using. And as a young boy, early teenager, seeing your mom go through those troubles, like, it was just pretty traumatizing. And just always had a chip on my shoulder because of that, I think.
yeah,
Moved from Northeast Portland out to Happy Valley when I was like in middle school. So I grew up in the city wearing Fat Farm and FUBU and
yeah, yeah,
going to the what was it, I forget the place there in 82nd for clothing and stuff, top to bottom, and then
yeah,
I go to Happy Valley where they're all in Abercrombie and Hollister, and I just didn't, I didn't fit in, and whatever, had the chip on my shoulder, so just got in fights with people, and just kind of just always kind of like anger, I guess, anger, and then alcohol. When I started drinking alcohol, that fueled my anger even more. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Um, yeah, I think it was probably in high school when I really started like drinking. Like, I'd find my dad's was that Canadian whiskey? I forget that shit. Black Velvet. I'd find his
Oh,
Black
yeah,
Velvet or
yeah,
something and
oh,
just get drunk. And
you cringe on vodka, dude, I cringe on
yeah.
that.
But I remember thoroughly, like, just being drunk and getting in little brawls, like, in high school. It was just that anger and the alcohol just kind of fueled each other.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
I remember punching a wall and hitting a stud and breaking my hand, just doing stupid shit. Like, that was the start
yeah,
of my alcoholic ways. So yeah, probably when I was like in high school, it was just something to make me not feel the way I felt about myself. Being angry. The only thing that really kept me in school was sports.
yeah.
And then
What sports did you play?
I played baseball, I played football, um, and I actually had a lot of opportunity to go places with the sports and get scholarships. But my anger and my fighting and my trouble in school
Yeah,
caused me to get expelled, and then went to alternative school, and then got expelled, and then just like it just snowballed.
yeah,
And so all through my 19, 20, 21, 22, it was just a bunch of doing stupid shit, selling drugs, thinking I was cool, thinking I was hot shit.
yeah,
And then, you know, obviously I wasn't hot shit because ended up, losing pretty much everything I had, so, thank goodness I went through that though, because now I can share that stuff with my children and show
Yeah,
them that, hey, like, just like you were talking about your youngest is never gonna have to see you drunk. Like my daughter will never know me as a drunk.
right,
She might hear me say some more stories from my when I was a young punk or whatever, but
right.
I get to remember her first birthday. I get to remember all of her first walking. Like if I was still drinking, like I wouldn't
No,
remember
and
any of this stuff. You know what I mean? I would just be probably fucked up. After
well, and
work. Mm.
you say that, and it almost brings me to tears because, like, I have an older daughter and a younger one,
Mhm.
and the youngest is the one that's never gonna see me drunk, right?
Right.
But you talk about, like, the remembering of things,
Mhm.
right? And my youngest obviously or my oldest obviously comes, from a broken home. Me and her mom are no longer together.
Mhm.
And it took a lot of years for us to get on an even, on the same page, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term.
Right.
Um, but the reason it makes me a little bit emotional is because, like, there's times that I don't remember that sort of stuff,
Yeah.
right? I wasn't there for her first walk or her first, crawl.
Mhm.
I wasn't there for I remember flashes of, her first birthday, but it was because my ex-wife was mad at me for drinking,
Yeah.
and so
You
that's what I
just remember
remember.
that getting scolded.
Yeah, and so that's what I remember. And it's just it's a real blessing, but also kind of a curse in the same breath of, like, having another young daughter that I see all the things I miss with my oldest,
Right. Right.
and that guilt and that shame start to
Right.
kinda creep back in a little bit,
Right. Right.
but I have to remind myself too, like, my daughter is a great girl, she's a great young lady,
Mhm.
young girl, I shouldn't even say lady, she's 8. Um, that makes me cringe, but, she may not grow up in a, picture perfect household, but again,
Right.
I can be there to support her through different things,
Right.
support her through the high school years, support her through, whatever it is. Now I get to be there for
Have that talking to the first
her.
boy.
Have the first,
Yeah.
first boyfriend talk,
You're
or
not gonna be drunk and try to
yeah,
fight the bull.
yeah,
You
exactly.
you bring my daughter back home before
Yeah,
it's 7 or something, I'm gonna whoop
yeah,
your ass.
yeah. No, and
Mm.
I really weigh heavy on, like, okay, that is in the past. We
Yeah,
don't live in our
that's
past. We
part of
live
your
in our
story,
future.
but yeah.
Um, we live in the present, not even in the future. We live in the present. I'm there.
Right.
I try to make it to every single thing she has. Um, and if I was still drinking, Lord knows if I'd even have any custody of her. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right. That's a
Um,
blessing.
yeah, and so it is a blessing. And I did go through a period of time where, after my arrest and stuff, I was on supervised visits. I couldn't see her for 3 months, and then it was supervised visits from 3 to 6, and then it was unsupervised from 6 to 9, and then I finally got an overnight. I'll never forget. My
Yeah,
first overnight with her was when I hit my year mark.
man.
My ex-wife let me have her for an overnight, and dude, on my way to get her, on my way to drop her off, dude,
Just
I
giddy as
bawled.
really?
No, I cried, dude.
Yeah.
I'm a sensitive guy
Yeah.
now. Like, now that I've not
Yeah,
drank, especially when it comes to my kids, dude, I'm a sensitive.
yeah, yeah,
I'm a freaking teddy bear.
yeah.
Emotional train wreck is what Shalia would call me. Um, but no, dude, I cried because it was like, it was kind of like that moment of, like,
This is what I
this
worked
is
for.
this is what this is what I'm doing this for. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And my dad always tells me, shout out to my dad. He always tells me, it's a feather in my cap, right? It's everything that those promises that keep
Mhm.
coming, and the promises that, will continue to keep coming as long as I stay on a road of recovery, right?
Right.
It's a feather in my cap, right?
Mhm.
The year mark, that's a feather. The
Mhm.
2 year mark, that's a feather. Having my daughter back, that's a feather.
Right.
Having another beautiful daughter, that's another feather.
Right.
All these feathers in my cap, to where if I ever, God willing, God forbid, I go out and, go and try to buy a bottle, or if I am sitting, because I've done it in the past, where I sit in my truck for, 20, 30, 45 minutes before I ever crack that bottle
Yeah,
open, but I
yeah.
have
Just
it in my
playing
hand.
that tape.
Yeah, and, he's like, "Those are the feathers you can lean on,"
Yeah.
the feathers you can talk about, and you can, think about when you're that close, or when you're on the edge and you're about to go over,
Right.
and you
Right.
can pull those feathers out, you can start thinking about them.
Right,
And I
right.
was like, "Yeah,"
That's beautiful.
he always tells me that.
Mhm.
Me and my dad, he's one of the guys I've had on this podcast, but
Nice.
he's my best fucking friend, dude.
That's great.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, it makes me emotional, man. And to hear on your end too, like, that's your first daughter, right?
Yep, yep.
So
That's all I
yeah,
hopefully.
that's what you know about.
No, I'm just playing, baby. I don't got nothing.
Um, no, man, and that's beautiful that you can sit back and you can say like my daughter will never see me with that
Right.
chip on my shoulder. Even
Mhm.
more importantly, right? Because drinking's the solution.
Right.
The problem is, you had that chip on your shoulder. You grew up in anger,
Mhm.
and talk about the similarities, right? There's so many times where I punch a I punched a concrete wall, broke my hand. I
Yeah.
punched a fence,
It's
and
like, damn, that thing was a little harder than me.
yeah, and it's like, who won, the fence or the freaking hand? And it's like, well, the fence, obviously,
Yeah.
but um, I grew up a very angry child,
Mhm.
and even in through my high school years, but that's where I found wrestling,
Right.
right? That's where my outlet was. But it's beautiful, man, that you get to sit back and you get to think about, like, you know, God forbid something happens,
Yeah.
but you get to, say today, right now, your
Yep.
daughter has never seen you drunk,
Right, right.
has never seen you with that chip on your shoulder. Um, even if you do get angry a little bit, at least it's not to the level of what it was, right?
Yeah.
And not
Yeah.
fueled more by the alcohol. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's beautiful. That's cool.
I get to be the inspiration to my woman. She's when we first started dating, she had never not drank for more than 30 days.
Yeah.
So, when we first started dating, like inherently, she just didn't want to drink since I didn't drink.
Right.
So that's kind of where we fell for each other is when I could see who she truly was
Yeah.
when she wasn't like using a substance, to feel better or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's amazing when you see that light bulb or that change. When people take off that facade or that image or that
Mhm.
whatever, to just watch like that light bulb click for some people is just like, and then you're a part of it, because
Yeah.
then they get to be a light bulb for somebody else, and
Yeah.
then that ripple effect goes and ripples over here, and then
Right.
it just goes
Well, it's like
out and
seeing
out.
newcomers in the room.
Hmm.
You see newcomers come in, and first couple days, you know how it is. It's
Head
rough.
down,
You're head down. You're not
crying.
talking. You're
Yep.
sometimes crying,
Right.
right? And then over the course of the next month, 2 months, they get their 30-day chip, their 60-day chip, and then
Hmm.
all of a sudden that the real them starts coming out, and you
Right.
can start seeing. And sometimes, they're not happy, bubbly. Go get
It
them,
takes a
right?
while before you get out of the shit storm.
Yeah, exactly. And even
Hmm.
I'd argue to say, like, even almost 3 years, like, the shitstorm still keeps coming. You just learn to live life
Right.
on life terms,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
You know, you take accountability for your actions. You know, face life as life comes to you, right?
Hmm.
Like, and so, because life keeps life, and man,
Yes.
it still keeps
It
going.
gets it gets better, and then it gets harder, and then more responsibilities, and
Yeah,
then more expectations on you,
yeah,
and
yeah,
but I mean, look, for 2,400 days in a row, something like that.
yeah.
I haven't taken a drink, and it's like,
Amen.
I used to never think I could even go 6 months or 30 days. You know what I mean?
30
Every
minutes.
every time I floated the river, I was like, I had to be drunk.
Yeah,
Every time I went to a Blazer game, I had to drink.
yeah,
Like everything that I thought was I had to do fun drinking,
yeah.
motocross races or whatever, camping,
Right.
all of that stuff you can do having a good time and not be drunk or doing whatever substance like you had a problem with. And you get to experience it and then just like embrace it, and it's just crazy to think because it's like it was so hard to imagine, and now it's just like my whole
It's
life
another life.
revolves
Yeah,
around just staying sober and staying away from a substance that tried to kill me,
yeah.
you know.
No,
So
and that's fun and recovery is huge. And like, I
yeah,
play in a clean and sober softball
I know
league.
I need to get down with that.
Um,
I need to.
and dude, that's in and of itself is such a huge part of my recovery.
Yeah.
And I think a big reason it's so important to me is my uncle, when he first took me to my very first meeting. I was 21 years old.
Mhm.
He took me to a meeting, and he brought one of the guys from the league I play with now.
Mhm.
And we were talking, and he's like, "All right, you got to get a year clean." And it took me until I was, what, I have almost, so 25. I started playing in the league, so it took me till I was 26, I guess,
Mhm.
to be a year clean enough to
Yep.
get in the league. And
There you
so,
go.
um, but dude, it's such a blast. And
Yeah.
every after every after every game, we stand in a circle with the other team and we say the Serenity Prayer as a team.
Wow.
It's a really powerful thing, man,
Yeah.
and it's all about I say softball comes second in that. It's the only softball league you ever play in where softball comes second.
Right.
It's all about
Recovery is
fellowship
first.
and recovery,
Yeah.
and we have a team that they're still in treatment, right? Because
Mhm.
the league's rule is you have to be 30 days, right?
Mhm.
But some teams have different consciences in their team, and so
Right.
we have people that are in treatment still
Right.
that come out and play with us, and it's having fun in recovery. Like I never thought that was a thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially at a young age, like
Yeah.
when we were getting sober, we were
Entered.
23,
Yeah. Yeah.
24, like young in our
Everybody
prime.
around us
Everybody's
is drinking.
partying,
Yeah.
drinking, and so when I first tried to get sober, that's exactly why I relapsed. I was
Yeah.
like, because I was thinking way too far in advance. I was thinking
And
I
all the
couldn't drink
people at the
forever.
meetings are old fogies, and you're just like,
Yeah, and
oh,
you're
this.
you don't really you and I would venture to say that it's looking for the differences in
Mhm.
things,
For
right?
sure.
I'm not looking at the similarities. I was looking for the differences. I
Right.
was trying
Right.
to fight it. I was trying
Yeah.
to argue with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like I've done so much in my past. Same thing when I read the big book for the first time. I was trying to argue with everything that it said, right?
Yeah.
The first
Yeah.
168 pages I would read, but I was arguing with everything. Like,
You're
that's
all
not
putting a
me.
question mark here, and
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know about
cross
this.
this out, X that out,
I'm gonna make this a little different.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, it's a fantastic thing, and absolutely you need to come play with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, it'd be
Um,
great.
yeah, it's a blessing, man. It's huge, and
Yeah, I remember the first time we did a karaoke thing
yeah,
at the 12 by 12. A guy would host. He put that on, and like I never sang karaoke when I was drunk. I was that
yeah,
self-conscious. Even drunk, I would be like, nope, I'm not gonna do it. But
yeah,
I was sober and took that leap of faith that like I know I'm gonna be embarrassed. And, don't have a good voice or nothing.
yeah.
But like just to be outside of yourself and do something that, like, you didn't feel comfortable doing, but then you're sober, like, usually you had to have liquid couragement to do anything that you didn't feel
Mhm.
good about. I did it when I was sober, and I was just like that moment, it's like, "Wow, I never needed that substance to, like, make myself feel comfortable." Like, you can
Well,
still go through the uncomfortable situations, you know what I mean?
starting a damn business
Yeah,
sober. I mean,
yeah,
that's something to hang your hat on for
yeah,
real.
thank you,
You know what
buddy.
I mean?
Yeah,
Because that's a big deal,
yeah,
especially you now have a wife and a kid, and you have responsibilities to take care of. You bought that fourplex, like you have things you got to take care of, and to do all those things while running your own company is a huge deal, man.
yeah,
And
thank
I
you, brother.
because you talk about liquid courage. It's like I don't think I had the courage enough. There was a multitude of things that I didn't want to start my business for, but most of it was I was scared, man. I was
Yeah,
anxious. I was nervous. I didn't know if it was going to work out.
yeah,
I didn't want to be that husband, that boyfriend, that father that worked every day, all
right,
day, 7 days a week, that sort of thing.
yeah.
Um,
It's a lot of honestly, like, I'm gonna tell my son this when
yeah,
I have a son, "Don't start a business and get a girl pregnant and wife her up and go buy an investment property
yeah,
all in 2 years. It's not a good
yeah,
idea."
yeah. It's a lot to
You
juggle.
just you put more on your plate, and as a man, as a provider, you just like, "Oh, Imma step up. I'm gonna do more." And, like, that's that ego and that pride that told me that, like, "Oh, I can just
Do
go
all
out and
these things.
drink and party and stuff." It's that same ego,
Yeah,
so, like, yeah, I've done it, and I'm doing it, and I'm, like, succeeding in what I'm doing. I'm not saying it's a good idea to do for sure, but, God, I was praying about it, and that's why I keep on going back to is that, like, I might not know what the path in front of me is, like, it might not be lit, but I know that there's a path and that I continue to ask for guidance,
yeah,
and, like, it just keeps knocking at my door, and,
yeah,
like, all those little coincidences that we seen while we were drinking and using that, like, were trying to show us that, like, "Hey, there's something else out there," but
yeah,
we didn't wanna acknowledge it, and there weren't coincidences, it's divine synchronicity that's just showing you're at the right place at the right time, and either you take advantage of the opportunity or you don't,
yeah.
but, you just keep on, like, asking for guidance, and with the investment property, I know that it's gonna provide a sustainable future for my family that I'm not gonna have to work.
Yeah,
And that's the goal, is to not be like grinding for the rest of my life. Is to not trade my time for money and let my money work for itself.
yeah. No,
And
and that's huge, and that's a blessing all in itself, man. I
yeah,
mean,
I mean, it's all from getting sober. Like, I wouldn't ever had this opportunity if I was still drinking and partying. You know what I mean?
yeah, and similarly to the me going to school, it's like, I tried when I was still drinking, but
Mhm.
it lasted about a week, and
Right.
now I just finished up my 3rd week of school,
Congrats,
and,
brother. Yeah.
yeah, I got a 99%. I never got that high of a grade in high school, so,
Right.
um,
That's
but
huge,
it's
man.
all because of recovery.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? It's all because
It's nice
I'm
to go
sober.
when you actually want to go too. You're doing it for yourself, not because
Yeah,
like,
and I have goals, you
yeah,
know what I mean? Like, actually, like, very much achievable goals now, and, like,
yeah,
things are kinda lining up for me, and I you talk about, divine synchronicity, and it's like, I truly believe the reason that what happened with, like, my career and construction and stuff like that, and the reason I didn't start my business is, like, that was God's way of telling me, like, "Hey, this isn't what you're supposed to be
yeah,
doing."
yeah.
You
You
know
have
what I
a
mean?
bigger purpose.
Yeah, you need to be going to do something else. And then
Yeah,
my sister telling me, "Bub, you need to go into psychology. You need to go into this field. Like,
yeah,
you're very good about talking to people, um, and you understand it. You can relate to them." Um, and so, yeah, that's my divine synchronicity story. Is like this path that I'm on now is
yeah.
like this is what I was meant to do, and this is
Right,
what I'm going to
right.
go out and do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
So,
if you can find fulfillment and make a good, career out of it, like,
yeah,
I mean, that's the best part about it.
yeah, absolutely. So,
Wow, what a beautiful night, huh?
oh yeah, I was
Mm,
just thinking.
A
And
little,
again, I'll edit
little
this out,
hazy.
but the lighting right now, dude, is superb. But no, it's a beautiful property, man, and I thank you for the time
Yeah.
and the area to do it, right?
Yes, sir.
Matt told me, when we were messaging back and forth about doing this, and I told him, "Hey, I'm on virtual, you don't even have to leave your own home." He's like, "No, man, we're gonna do it in person. I got a
Yeah.
spot, and, look at this." I mean, you couldn't ask for a better spot to do a
Yep, yep.
podcast for
Next
sure.
time we'll do it like a bonfire or something.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah,
Next time for sure. We'll have
yeah,
to come back out here, like, when the girls can all meet
yeah.
up
That'd be
and
great.
have fun and
Yeah.
play, and Mason's getting to the age now where she's starting to make noise and move around and starting to be.
Maybe a little roly poly.
Yeah, she's a roly poly for sure, man. She's all over the place.
Yeah,
So,
that's
but
beautiful, man. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
It's
Thank you for
great getting
doing
to
it.
know you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And this is all gonna get edited out, but this will be on YouTube on Wednesday,
Okay.
5 o'clock.
Nice.
So, and you spell your last name Daniell.
Niell. Yep.
Okay, double L. Okay,
Mhm.
I have a post scheduled for tomorrow,
Sweet.
to populate, and I wanted to make sure I spelled your name right. So,
For sure.
um, but yeah, man, it was great. It
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
great
That was
time.
cool, man. I
Yeah.
really liked it. Yeah.
So, and then
My buddy wants to start a podcast, and I told him about this. I was like, man, we got to get your booth set up because he has a downstairs little basement.
yeah,
He's like, oh, I don't know what the name's gonna be and the format and blah blah blah. It's like, dude, just go with the flow. Like,
that's
you
why.
gotta get it going. You gotta get the what is it? Just the dialogue going, and then
Yeah,
just
and
wherever
that's
it
why I don't
goes.
script any of my shit.
Yeah,
Like, that's why, like, my dad was talking to me about it when I first started. He's like, "Are you gonna write anything down or write a list of questions or
yeah,
anything?" And I was like, "No, dude, we're just gonna start chatting, and
yeah.
wherever the conversation leads us, kind of around recovery or the promises or the struggles or the war stories,
Right,
whatever it looks like, then I'll feed off of you. I'll feed
right.
off of whatever you're talking about."
Hmm.
And because I pride myself in being able to kind of
Adjust.
adapt to
Yeah,
the conversation, you
right.
know what I mean? So,
That's cool, man.
but
No, I
yeah,
really enjoyed it.
good,
It was awesome.
good.
I like the format. I like to talk about the promises, and I mean, the promises are like this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, look
my
at the
grandparents were, they were blessed because they were just young in the 60s, and they bought a duplex,
yeah,
and then they bought another investment property, kind of using that income as leverage, and they just kept on working hard,
yeah. I'm gonna
and
grab that drink.
and taking working hard and putting their money, instead of partying and stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
putting their money back, and they were able to build this life that they have. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And They have a house here. They got a house down at the beach. Couple houses down at the beach. They have money coming in every month from investment properties, and so that's part of like I feel like my calling is to like show young people about like just